Quirrel is an essential character in Hollow Knight's story, and a very interesting one. He lived most of his life in Hallownest, helped Monomon in her duty as a dreamer, left the kingdom for some time, and was eventually called back to it. I wanted to analyze everything we know about Quirrel to solve some mysteries about him and appreciate how well written and well implemented of a character he is. Before Monomon the teacher became a dreamer, Quirrel worked with her in the archives, most likely as an assistant. To ensure the safety of her seal, Monomon gave Quirrel her mask, which would be required in order to break her seal. She was likely the one who sent Quirrel outside of Hallownest to make sure that no one would find the key to her seal. At the Blue Lake, Quirrel mentions that it was his service which made him lose his memory of the time before he left Hallownest, and this is likely what he is referring to. Quirrel probably took up the task because he was very faithful to Monomon and believed that the plan with the Dreamers would work, so he saw it as a sacrifice worth making. In a way, this almost made Quirrel a sort of fourth dreamer. Lurien, Monomon, and Hera gave up the rest of their waking lives to become seals, and Quirrel gave up his memory of his lifetime to enact an extra protection on Monomon's seal. It appears that while he was in the wilds beyond Hallownest, having Monomon's mask is what kept him from losing his intelligence and becoming a completely wild bug, although he still lost much of his memory. He did remember his own name, though, and retained a sense of his own identity, most notably his curiosity and love for exploring. The mask also seemed to sustain his life in some way, as he mentions that he can feel his age once he removes the mask in the teacher's archives. As for why he came back, it was for the opposite reason that he was sent away. Monomon was calling for him to return in order for her seal to be broken. Monomon understood that the Hollow Knight had been weakening as a vessel for some time, and the Dreamers were all aware of the Knight returning to Hallownest and suspected that the Knight would try to break their seals. Monomon was probably able to communicate with Quirrel from the Dream Realm through her mask, since Quirrel wore it on his head. This method was likely how she instilled the calling he felt to return to Hallownest, which he originally attributed to being a product of his own curiosity. She also guided him to the teacher's archives specifically. Perhaps she also guided him to the Temple of the Black Egg first in order to aid his reclamation of his memory of being involved with the seals. Ultimately, it worked. Quirrel knew just enough to get him to where he needed to be, and Monomon helped him with all the rest. It's notable that Quirrel's story has many similarities with that of the Knight. Both were from Hallownest, left the kingdom voluntarily and subsequently lost most of their memories, and later were called back for reasons related to the Hollow Knight. Both initially wander the kingdom and cross paths several times during their respective journeys. Both are skilled fighters, and they combine their combat skills in order to take down Umu. They then proceed to use the tools at their disposal to break Monomon's seal, Quirrel using her mask and the Knight using the Dream Nail. It is heavily implied that Quirrel sacrifices himself in giving up the mask to undo the seal, and we know that the Knight will eventually sacrifice themselves for the same cause, either becoming a new vessel or breaking their shell in order to defeat the Radiants. To me, what is most significant about Quirrel is that his story puts the Knights into perspective. So what do you think? What else do you believe is significant about Quirrel and his story? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. I've got plenty more about Hollow Knight and other great media, so be sure to check them all out. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.